Okay, hi, Chase Cunningham, Dr. Zero Trust here. So I said I was going to run through a bunch of scenarios. Let's go through the OWASP stuff. Now, we're not going to do all 10 because some stuff in OWASP, as far as demos, doesn't really work that well. Doesn't really show you much. But this is kind of easy to wrap your head around and understand what's going on. So we partnered up with HyperQube because you can never pen test your own stuff. Pen testing your own stuff is like eating your own dog food. You're only going to say it tastes great. So we partnered with HyperQube. We work with them to do this testing. It's hosted in their environment. Actually, if this is interesting, you can go check out their stuff and jump into the environment and play with it itself. So what we did was we set up an application called the Juice Shop that is specifically built to allow people to test OWASP top 10 type vulnerabilities and get familiar with it. So this thing is as vulnerable as it could possibly be. It's, if you're looking for some of the holes in it, it's like Swiss cheese. So that being said, what we're doing is we're running through some of these more, I guess you'd call them directly applicable, interesting sort of demo scenarios within OWASP top 10. So what we're going to do here is directory traversal. Now, what this directory traversal is going to show is here's your Juice Shop thing. This is typical web application, whatever. You'll notice up there you got your address, which obviously there's a bad certificate here. We'll cover that later, but 0.0.0.0, whatever. We're going to just do a traversal and go see, hey, if you just add some things into that URL, can you find other stuff that you shouldn't be able to get to that's got valuable information? And in doing that, we are doing a very common attack vector. You could do this on the internet right now on a whole bunch of stuff if you knew what to poke and prod for. I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying you could and find valuable information. Google Dorks do this, but it's a really good attack vector if you're trying to figure out ways to go after someone. And often, depending on the speed of an application, how quickly it's been released, there would be information that's behind that that you could use for other purposes. So let's look at what this is like when you're doing this in a regular fashion. So here you'll see, there's the thing, click this link. Okay, interesting. I click this link and it takes me to another thing. Great. Now, if I go up here to this about, and I remove that part and I put in FTP, which I talked about FTP earlier, guess what? Now I can go see these FTP things. And in those FTP things, there's an acquisitions file. Well, what is acquisitions? What does that mean? Oh, it's a text file. In that text file that's up there that I shouldn't be able to get to, this document is confidential. Do not distribute. Our company plans to acquire, et cetera, et cetera. So what you're showing here is that this is a very common attack vector. It's OWASP #1 sort of attack vector, falls into the sort of broken access control side of it and whatever else. But directory traversal, extremely common thing, gets by a whole lot because, like I said, you could go do this on the internet right now and you're able to get to things you shouldn't be able to get to. So that's the problem side. Now the question becomes, if we take that exact same application, we flip the script a bit, put this web application isolation program and protocol and control in place that we're talking about, what does the change look like? So here's where we go with this. Now, let me remove this one. Let me add the web application isolation demonstration here. And here we go. So let me start this over again. And basically, as you can see, it's the same exact site. You'll notice that nothing else has changed. You hover over the links, whatever. Now, what you can see is up here at the top in the URL, really long piece of that text. Doesn't really matter for the user, but that's kind of how the resolution is taking place here. So, whoops. So here we go. Click on that. Do your stuff, and now you're going to do basically the same thing that you tried to do before and do the /FTP, which worked in the same application, same configuration, whatever else. Now when we apply WAI, no longer works. And what you notice there is that you got that red box. If you look at this app, you'll see now in the browser right there, there's a red box going around it. And very quickly before, it also rendered this thing in read-only mode because the policy said something weird is occurring here. Read-only mode, make this thing safe, and the red box lets you know there's a control in place. Now, Again, we're going to try and do a little bit more FTP shenanigans and slide by that by changing the configuration on the URL side of it as well. And so there's your FTP side. Okay, well, maybe if I go a little further, I can do some other changey things, put a different slash, different FTP, whatever, and see what you could get to. And again, this worked on the same exact application, same exact configuration a minute ago. There's your read-only mode. Now it took you into the link that you were trying to get to a little further into the application, but you weren't able to execute the FTP side of this thing. You're not getting towards that traversal, if you will. So super simple way of fixing the problem. Doesn't matter, managed, unmanaged device. This thing could be published on the internet. The application side is being handled, managed, maintained, and controlled, and we fix the issue. And again, this is an application built to be insecure, built to allow that type of FTP traversal to work. We just negated it.
ZTEdge, the simple, affordable way to move to zero trust security.